Hello and welcome, as it is the completion of the 18th day of September 2020. My name is Derek. This is the Money Charts channel. All bets, trades, and of the like within each's own risk as well as their own reward. For myself, risk reward management. Always job number one. And let's take a look at cryptocurrencies. Also, the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm going to go over my analysis after the end of the cryptos as far as game one and relatively for the entire series as well, between the Dallas Stars and that of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So within Bitcoin, we had the double day down here. Decent amount of movements going down from about 12K to originally like 10K. So a loss of about 20%. And several days within just this range, resisting at around 10.4 and change. And from September 9th all the way up to September 13th, it didn't break resistance really, but it did make these higher lows. The date of the 14th getting up to the 18 average of highs, holding in there. And now, really since the rally ended on the 16th, holding and staying above this level sideways for a few days. So relatively decent. You can talk about retracement from this low, which is coming back to where he came from here to the most previous high. Viewing it more so, at least amongst the single hour. Well, this was the down move, and you can just draw lines that this has been the support. Well, since it got to here, what has the support been? And somewhere in this area, like this area of such. And then the downward move, you could do the curve. And, well, this was the last recent high. So we came up here, a failed attempt to break out here. But since that failed breakout, it did higher low this to this low. And is now looking to attempt from this low to this high to break out. And shortening it to the single hour, a lot of periods here showing how the rally has been going into play. And, well, this correction in here. But since the breakout on this, there's the rally to this level here. This is that failed breakout here. But we can see the higher low here. And just even with this single hour, at least on the hourly time frame, a lot of productive signs. You come up to this green candle up, a pause period, and then just whatever the name of this is, cattail, I don't know. But you retrace back, come back close to the highs, and within this period has already broken out above it. We can see here, this is the resistance that it has managed to get by very, very nicely. And that's, of course, this is all part of the short-term jump like nonsense within this little movement in here. Because if this comes in and fails, well, we can still successfully make this a bullish support test of 10.47, which was resistance before. If we do that, support the 18 lows, that can still be fine. But it's not like it's needed. If it is, it is. But we can see short-term the resistance that it's been established. If it gets it above this, then we can start to talk about tangling well in the 11,000 area. 11.5, 11.6, up to about 11.7. I would expect its next key area to go towards. Long-term analysis, let's go weekly and then the monthly term. Within the weekly chart, we had this clear break above on July 27th. We came back to the 18 lows. And if we can start to see that momentum go above 11.5, this would be the early start of exitation on this. And if it can do such and start to hold around 11,000 for several weeks, then that would be just bullish indications there. But it will also give you signals right now that the rally could probably continue going, come up to 12, and then maybe face even at about 13.5. I would consider that such as weak resistance, poor resistance. I don't like the chances of it being that good for such, meaning will we resist at all? Will it resist through much in price? Just tangle in there and congest at that area? Because I would think just on the shorter term, intermediate term, we should have fair resistance at about 20,000. But it does seem as if on an exitation of such on this, that's where its target rate is to go. But within this term time frame, if I see this going up to here, I kind of have it semi-weak resistance in the, okay, so we come up here, yeah, maybe we price down to like 11.8 or something, or maybe we congest amongst there for a half a year or 3/4 of a year. and then break out it later, and that's about as strong. That would still be resistance, but I mean, nothing like it's too profitable as far as any type of like buy low, sell high. And I'll use that buy low, sell high to segue into crypto altcoins now, which is what I like to do in here. More information box of videos that I made way back into 2019 about the strategies that I use. Is basically it. And I trade it like this is a part-time deal because I really don't need to do it anymore. I really have 3 different ways of investing: cryptocurrencies, precious metals, and my fantasy sports ventures. All of them doing very successful right now. And within this is a situation where this keeps having these up and down choppy moves. And I've liked that because every time it goes up, I can sell. Every time it goes down, I can buy. And as it goes, if this thing, which is broken down now noticeably clear from this area of like 24 change, it's now at 22. Okay, so this tells me that we're looking to break through this level. It technically has, but you can still say it's a pierce below. But it looks to me maybe, it could come down here. Will or will not. I can make a good reason why it won't. Now, the good reason why it won't is because we're going to support this as in Fibonacci. We have a situation where coins collectively all go up well, that it's almost impossible for it to go down further. And then cases why it will, where the setup itself is saying that. And then obviously maybe all coins go down together. And then this would just follow suit. So many reasons in both cases. But if it does, all the stuff that I was selling from the points of really from, I guess you can say, we'll just talk start of the year, when I was selling at like, say, 20,000, 2,000. And most certainly all of this in here from February 10th up to like 13th, 14th. So the end of the second week of February, whatever. Then it would be buying that back if it goes down here in many cases. A lot of this, again, is traded with other currencies. But if this goes down, then this is going to tell me my signals, it's time to sell stuff for it. Right now, my signals is telling me I need to sell Bitcoin Cash for Teslas. And just a little small move of Bitcoin Cash going up and or Teslas going down will make me do that. But it's just close at this stage. And all of these moves up and down, back and forth, again, have been just decent situations to be able to increase holdings of the coins that I like to own. As I look at it, if I just want to have a diversified portfolio of several different coins for myself, I like my LITECOIN, my Bitcoin Cash, my Teslas, my Thetas, my Grostal coins, my Digibytes. There's a few other ones. HBAR, Hadara, Hashgraph, just a whole bunch of different coins. And then flip them back and forth, Ripple being another. It's instead of just holding, I'm just waiting to sell. I can flip them back and forth when one coin has good values of the other. So basically, when coins have good rallies, it means I'm just going to keep selling that for other ones. And then if they go back down collectively, if this has a decent sized decline, that means a lot of the things I'm selling and buying Tezos against, it's going to be selling those coins to buy Tezos. When we take a look at Tezos, shorter term, you can just see when these levels of key Fibonacci, we can support this literally piercing above here. They usually pierce extra. Well, yeah, they did pierce extra on this timestamp. And then it had this decent rally, getting above the 18 average of highs, matching this point in here. So successfully holding the 18 here, but really no major attempt. A decent attempt here to break out, sort of a bit in this 18 average of highs. But then we see weakness on the 18 lows, albeit at that point, it rallied from this level. It just, when it got up to this point, was unable to get past this higher high thing or make a higher high, thus lower highs. And then when we do break a key level, significant key level move. And that's exactly what the case was. Seems to happen all the time with key levels. And these fib levels that I draw in seem to be key. With that being said, we come down, establish this level of support, have your decent pop-off rally a few hours ago. And just this hour alone, and it's 43 minutes in with 16 minutes to go, it's already been giving up a lot of those moves. So it looks to me as if short-term day trading, that this probably could make another leg lower within the next several minutes or a couple hours, 3 hours from now. Whether it does or not, yada, yada, we'll wait and see. For me, I'm just a little bit of a move with Bitcoin Cash. I'll make a little bit of this trade. Now, I don't got much for data within the weekly here because there's only so many periods. But we can see how this is reversing the trend. Beautiful up move in here. There's a long bit of sideways action. And the support has been broken. The 18 average is now going to have the start to decline level. And any price action in here, we have to look for this area to be resistance, which would be, first off at 25 and then the fib level at 28. But that's if it even has rallies from this point. And one could say, like I said at the start, because, we just got that. This is our Pierce sector below. Maybe it might even have short-term moves where it goes to 2 flat before that's where the Pierce sector will be. Yeah, maybe. And whatever happens, of course, will just happen. And monthly, I don't even have my 18 average on here, but you can pretty much tell that it'd be pretty much coming back to its correctionary basis. And the 18 average would be at correctionary phase from this low to this high. And then, of course, this is what the Fibonacci is all about. This is a 61.8% move from this high to this low. I'm going to move to Theta next, but before we do that, I want to talk about Bitcoin dominance, BTC.D on the TradingView platform. And it's going down in this downtrend from this high. But what's it been doing over the last few days? Well, we got up to this resistance test above the 18 average of highs, and it ultimately didn't work out on the breakout. It matched previous low, pretty much, piercing above, but pretty much a match. And now we have here pretty much, maybe, it's pierced below this, but a good rally. It's neutralizing itself out. So any of this domination of altcoins is not in play on any short-term analysis, and like a lot of the altcoins just struggling a little bit short-term right now, as we've seen with Tezos. And I guess Theta won't be next because Bitcoin Cash is here. And daily time frame is showing a lot of weakness amongst the 18 average of lows. Litecoin, there's a situation in here where it had some nice little up and down choppy rallies from July 23rd up to August the 31st. But has been making a continuous pattern of lower highs and lower lows. This little sell-off here, this rally was rejected and has had another leg lower. But now we can see how it's unable to hold this area where it's been supporting since this point in here. Basically showing a lot of the short-term weakness as well. Then you got Ripple, which has had its fantastic rally and still holding from key low to key high, but is obviously in a little bit of a downtrend. And now on to Theta. Basically, what I'm saying is a lot of the coins are not in bullish sentiments. And if I'm going to talk about the class of the whole right now, maybe neutral, semi-bearish over the very short term, semi-bullish over the semi-intermediate term, I guess. But Theta, the volume is showing a lot more for me. I talked about in my previous video how the volume is just not there. As we can see in here, like where is it? And ever since this rally here in July, these decent days here, but much lower than this high. And when these rallies, when I see them come on low volume, that generally tells me that the tops are not in yet and our legs higher are just going to be more of them. And whether this goes through, we have a multi-week, multi-month run before this tops, or whether this will top in 3 to 5 days and the volume will start soon and oh my goodness, it'll look big in 5 days from now. Either way, 2 to 4x gains, I would probably think. But the volume is just not there. However, when I look at this, I'll get back to volume in a bit. On the short term, it's going to say even more. To me, cool, thanks. But as far as price action is concerned, only price pays on the market. Whatever the buy and ask price is, that's what you're going to get as a trader. You can say it's going to be worth this or it's worth that and that, but it's whatever it's worth now at your now moments. When you make your transactions, and thus price to me is the best indicator that there ultimately is. So this resistance point, August 24th, was taken out at the start of this week, we'll say. And we came back down to it, supported where we came from. It's supporting the 18 average of highs. And we can see within today's and yesterday's session, just excitation of the 18, but even within today, how the line or the lows comes back down to the 18 average of highs and how it's able to lift off from that point, to me, is a very nice, beautiful indicator. But now the volume This is what I like. I like how this breakout happened on higher volume today. Today being Friday compared to Thursday and Wednesday and Tuesday and Monday. But yet it's still all this noticeable lower than that point that we've had before. So I think it's a very fantastic situation here as I'm looking at this. And I think there's a very good probability that we break out as we move on to the weekend into the week. And that we're going to see first resistance test of the 6,000 and change mark. And I do not want to make a prediction for what kind of resistance we have there. And it could be a key top. Maybe a Pierce Extra goes to 7 and that's just it. Probably better chance of being higher, especially because where we are now. But and that's where the high volume could come in too. And maybe it doesn't top at high volume. But I think it will though. Which is another way of me saying I don't think this rally is over. I think there's legs higher to come. Maybe we find a little bit of resistance. We come back. That's why I talk. This could be several months. We just come back and we don't even break this level for maybe 7 weeks. And then we hit 11,000, 12,000, maybe 9 weeks after that. I don't know. That's one possibility. Then it maybe just don't find much resistance there at all. We see a day where it's up 72% or 180 or 250%, especially because I'm not even following any news and I don't even give a shit about what the news even tells me more times than not. More times than it was. I mean, this is one of the times where I did because I knew the back on here that May 27th was a large day as far as news was related and all that type of stuff. Back then I talked about that, and those things that could be very predictable for volume top days, especially with like Fed announcements in other markets. When the Fed says this on a Wednesday and you just have high volume on silver and gold and stuff like that, yada yada, that becomes very predictable. And then when you know the news at that, you can get an advantage in your trading too. Whatever information you have, the more that you have, the better, of course, you're going to be at the trade in which that you are doing. And thus, if you're not doing that well, or if you're trying to do better, try to focus on the key things that can, of course, make you a better player in the game. And to me, it is a game. However you make it. In fact, one of the things I was going to do was just talk about one of the games, but it's called Dope Wars. I can't find a version that I liked. It was not the original one from the 1980s. It was like a stock market game. It was just a kind of fun game, but it's all about bankroll management. And that's probably one of the best things that I am overall, is bankroll risk reward management. And I still got to talk about hockey and stuff like that. 18 minutes in, it's not much more to go over. And I've already went through a lot of this long-term stuff, but like monthly chart for Theta to me is in its second stage of a breakout. And I like how this thing has been playing out here, how we supported this fib line for this previous period, how it had a nice break and it's been holding this well. This thing's got the potential for great gains. Now let's go into hockey and go over the Stanley Cup Finals between the Dallas Stars. I don't like this I like the VS versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. I've never in my life went through so many games without even giving a shit about who's at home and who's on the road, because there isn't anyone at home or road. I mean, this hockey thing is almost like my memories of going to like a thing called Camp Enterprise that I used to go to, or a trip to Quebec City where a whole bunch of us would go and you'd have a hotel room and you'd have so many scheduled planned events at different times. And that's basically what these guys go through. But as far as the game is concerned, I'm having a very, very difficult time in finding a favorite in this game for me. I'm 50-50-50. This to me is a pure 50-50 shot in who wins the game. We'll go over the lines in a little bit because I'm doing fantasy sports. So I'll give you an idea based on some of the numbers that I have and how much I like certain players over others. But within the game, Dallas comes in with a record of 50 wins, and I have to do math, and 40 losses because these are overtime losses, but whatever about that. History of the game is 4-3 overtime, 3-2 in overtime this year. But I'm not going to really do too much. Fasca, day-to-day injury. Decent player. Fadoon, you know what? I don't really think I'd bring him back. I don't know why. But really, Dallas is struggling with their 6 defensemen. This is a great defensive matchup. And Dallas might have one of the top defensemen in the league. Tampa has the best. Dallas has the worst. I can't say that, but Gozin ain't that great. Rudda, who cares about? I don't care about him. Steven Stamkos, I don't think we're going to see him play. He hasn't played in a long, long time. So as it goes for this game, Dallas averages 28 shots a game over the last 10. And this is where last 10 doesn't... Normally last 10 could give you a good variety sample size because you got a good variety of opponents, but that's not the case here. They played against a team in Vegas who is very good at stopping shots, and yet their number was low. They played Vegas, a team who was one of the league leaders in shots, and they averaged 34 allowed. And I like high shots as far as a fantasy player. Tampa's averaging a lot of shots lately, getting pucks in this, but they've also played overtimes too, though. And then 29 shots allowed. What does this tell me? Not much. Tampa should have a small edge as far as shot accuracy. Maybe if I were to make spreads, I'd probably have Tampa favored by maybe 3.5, 4 shots. But if you look at this for the overall, Dallas road shot 32 to 30.5, and Tampa outshot their opponents 32 to 31. So if you're looking for any shots edge, maybe Tampa should be favored to get 2.5. I think for over-unders, I was knowing that for 60 minutes, it's a bit different than overtime because overtime can change things if you have it. But for the game, I would think maybe 33 to 34 should be Tampa's over-under, and Dallas maybe 29, 30. With a lot of these games I've been seeing in hockey, I've been like, well, I've been noticing after like midway through the game and later that you take minutes divided by 2. That's what shots to be. That most teams are well below that. So maybe halfway through the game, one team's at like 8 shots. It seems like that's always the case. But I've been getting through it very well away from it. Now, as far as the rosters are concerned, this is first line. This is how offense. This is different ways in which I'm playing them in a fantasy level. I've done Tampa Bay pro lineups, as I call it, 16 and 50. I'm playing 100 different lineups in this game as a fantasy player, but this is how much I'm playing each guys. And Palat, Point, and Kucherov. I've been watching every game pretty much, but Braden Point looked pretty good last game. He didn't seem to have the groin issues as troublesome as he did in the previous games that he played. I was concerned about Kucherov coming in the last game, how injured he might be, because he seemed in game 5 to take some beatings, but he looked really good. Finally, we had Cirelli come in and get the score sheet. Killhorn, Cirelli, Johnson. Pretty good line, but they've been struggling. Gaudreau, Cord, and Coleman. This is a pretty good line, and Gord and Coleman are playing very, very good. They got Coleman from the New Jersey Devils and Gaudreau from the San Jose Sharks. And those acquisitions have really, really helped the core of the team. Shen is defense, by the way, and he's been playing pretty good. So Maroon and Paquette play offense. They play together, so Coleman or Johnson or Point or Palat or Cirelli or someone will fill in a 4-line spot is what they do. And Maroon and Paquette, that's a pretty good 4th line to have. They play pretty good together as well. On defense, Victor Hedman is just fantastic. He has been playing fantastic. And the number 2, that's what power play line they're on. Star means on DraftKings they cost minimum cost. So Hedman, Shattenkirk, Sergachev, those are all they're all great defense. Cernak, I probably pronounced that wrong, even though I'm watching every game. I know Chernak, I think it is. McDonough and Bogosian. Bogosian's not that good. But these 5 defensemen are pretty, and especially Hedman, very, very good, solid defensemen. They block a lot of shots as well, too. But, I mean, the shots up Dallas blocks is high, too. And I'm going to... Ben Sagan, Radulov. Sagan's finally getting out of his slump, so that's going to make Dallas very formidable that way. Jamie Benn is playing fantastic. He is just outstanding. And Radulov, hey, he's pretty good. This is a good line not to sneeze at, not to take lightly. I think it's very, very solid. Janmark, Pavelski, Gurianov. Janmark is playing like crap. He's not that good of a player, but Pavelski and Gurianov are playing fantastic. Kiviranta, this guy is an interesting player. This is a young guy breaking out right now. He got a hat trick several games ago. And he's got a good shot, and now that he's off that fourth line, he gets to play with Robbie Hintz, who's not so bad. Corey Perry leaves a lot to be desired right now, but he's a veteran who can come up and do well. Cogliano is a very good defensive player. And Dickinson and Camo are pretty good as well for a fourth line, but Camo is a good fourth liner. So when I'm comparing lines, I'm going to basically have to even out line 4. Is it even? Line 3 compared with their line. I'm going to go with this as line 3 just because this has been... I have to give Tampa the edge. This, I have to say even maybe with like this. And by far, this is definitely weaker, but still damn good to the other one. Defense, Lindell, Klingberg, Alexiak, Heiskanen, Hanley, and Sakara. Okay, maybe it's just 4 good defense on Dallas. Hanley and Sakara leave a lot to be desired. But they're not that bad. But Lindell, Klingberg, Alexiak, and Heiskanen are fantastic. And 90% of the time, when you're playing against Dallas, either Klingberg or Heiskanen will be on the ice. Alexiak is a monster this year. He is, at least for fantasy, he is a pure sleeper gem. I don't like giving away much of my fantasy information right now, but he is just a fantastic, fantastic player. I'm not going to give you my goalie strategy information and what this number means, because this doesn't mean much at all. But these guys play very good. So with that being said, this tells me right off the bat, Tampa should be what Vegas says. A 60% chance of winning, minus 150, minus 160 type of ballpark talk. That's for sure. But why do I say it's a coin flip, 50-50? Well, it's a double factor. Number 1 is rest factor. Dallas has amazing rest, and Tampa's on a continuous grind, and a physical team Dallas is, and they're going to be hitting hard, especially, I mean, they know that Point is feeling it. They're probably saying, yeah, you got the extra chance of getting a legal clean hit on him, hit him as hard as you can when you have those opportunities, and it's just going to happen. And these guys can hit. And, I mean, it would even be worse for them if they had, former Leaf defenseman. He's not even in the bubble. I'm trying to remember his name offhand. Defenseman that's just, he's a dirty hockey player, as I call it. Dirty hockey players are guys that just, to me, are physical, fight hard, block shots, get a lot of hits. But that's what these guys pretty much are. But it comes down to the goalie, Hudobin for Dallas. Okay, on paper, Hudobin versus Vasilevsky, give it to Vasilevsky. But Hudobin is hot right now. He's a walrus. The guy is like 7'20", and he weighs, okay, he's big. He's not 7'20", but he's huge. And that's a big advantage to be that big, have the kind of athleticism that he has. His confidence is a major, major high. And then the whole mojo thing, if you want to go with it, living off of the goalie's confidence. When I talk about living off it, I'm talking about the rest of the 18 skaters. They're going to feed off of that energy, I believe. And to me, that balances it all down, at least for game 1, to be that of about a 50-50 chance for each team to win. Thus, as the series goes on, the advantage that Dallas loses is pretty much going to be getting destroyed as game 2 and 3, and most certainly on game 5, because that's a back-to-back, will be done. And that will be who can endure the heavy game shape the best. But Dallas has been beating these very amazing teams. They beat Vegas, and they also beat that of the Colorado Avalanche. They were able to put a stop to Nathan McKinnon and that dangerous offense, but you could say that the defense and goaltending was very much shitty. And it was, I think, for the Colorado Avalanche. That's what I'd like to say they need to improve on. I mean, there was injuries that affected the goalie when they had Francois and even worse, Nathan McKinnon playing net in the playoffs for them after they lost Frank Grabor. Grabor? I'm not the greatest at pronunciation. But they were able to take out a very, very good Vegas team, a very well-balanced team. And Robin Leonard, to me, very similar to Hudobin as far as almost a walrus-like goalie. Nice little beard, I guess. But yeah, that's my opinion for the game. I'm giving about Tampa about a 54% chance of winning the Stanley Cup Finals, 55%. And for the game one, I'm going 50-50. Now, as far as the total is concerned, the over-under is 5 goals. And if you can get better than 105, plus 105, plus 110, I think that it's a good under bet. Actually, I can see the numbers right here. Minus 125 over plus 105. That would be the lowest price I think I can handle. I mean, there's no reason for me to bet it because I profited way so much with an ROI of over 100% throughout the entire playoffs. That in fantasy, but I would gotta think that playing the under on that. For player props, if you're looking for an any goal score, let's just take a look at it. Gord, depending on the pricing again on Marin Paquette, I'd be wanting at least 10 to 1, 8 to 1 of those guys. I don't see much value in Tampa Bay scorers. Victor Hedman has been scoring like mad lately. But realistically, plus on any goal scorer, I'd want maybe plus 240, plus 230. I don't know if I see I'm not even looking. Jordy Ben, I mean, this is a guy here who's got a decent chance. Once I see numbers at a very good plus price, like a plus 160, anytime goal scorer, I'd be looking at that. Pavelski, same thing. Kiviranta, Alexiak. And here's the thing about the defensemen that I'm noticing too. I want to go over this to finish this off. Because one thing that's important for me to know is the metagame. For whatever you're doing, just know the metagame that's going on in hockey and understanding in sports how metagame is changing. For example, talking about 5-10 years ago, pulling your goalie with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left down by 1, 3 minutes left down by 2 goals, 6 minutes left down by 3 goals. And that stuff you just didn't do. But I'm seeing these defensemen rush and score more often. That looking for defensive goals is something that I think we need to look at. And this strategy about playing 7 defensemen I find relatively interesting, because something that I'd like to do, I was thinking playing 3 defensemen at the same time. Yeah, that's something I think is a good strategy. And in the case of, say, Tampa Bay, that means you play Shen on the forward. But you play Shen, and then say if Hedman's on defenseman with Shen, or any defenseman, the target defenseman we're talking about. Target is in, hey, you can rush, baby. That these guys are going to be able to rush a lot more often, and when defensemen find the opportunities to do so, they are doing it more often, and I've seen a lot more goals in these playoffs by defensemen. So it's just something during the Stanley Cup Finals with Heiskanen and Lindell and all of these great defensemen in the game, what they're going to do and what percentage of the goals they're going to score. Because that's something that'd be of interest. What percentage of the goals have been scored in the playoffs by defensemen compared to previous playoffs? And even for that matter, this year's regular season compared to previous years as well. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great weekend. Bye-bye.